Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today we're doing another reviews and ratings episode where I review and rate all the different games I've been playing in the past month or so with friends, family, and even solo. I've got 10 different games I'm going to be talking about today, giving a quick overview of the game, giving a review, giving my personal thoughts, and finally a rating for that game. We've got 10 of them today. We're going to be going from my least favorite to my favorite, and let's just go trying to make this quick. And first we are starting with Quests Over Coffee, which is a small little print and play game that my friend printed and allowed me to play. And in this one, it is a cute little purely lucky dice chucking game, and you have 2 rounds, and you're going on 5 quests each round. And basically, each turn you're going to pick one of the quests to go after, and the quests have you're rolling dice. And if you succeed, if you get to a certain threshold of, roll 12 with these 4 dice, you succeed and you get some kind of bonus along with the points of that card. If you fail or are neutral, then there's other things that will happen. But that's pretty much the whole game. Just picking a quest, rolling, seeing if you won. There's a little bit of dice mitigation in it. There's a little bit of, you can get like little powers from different items and things like that. But for the most part, it is you just rolling, picking quests, rolling, seeing if you succeed. This one's going to get a 5 rating. It is a cute game, and it does good what it wants to. It is just a cute little dice chucking game, but it's not one that I'm going to come back to because when I think about my favorite games of all time, decision space is the most important thing for me in games. Is there some good decisions that I can make? You're basically just rolling dice and seeing what happens in this game, which is fine, but it's not a game that is personally for me. But it does good what it's supposed to be, but not a game that I'm going to come back to. So a 5 rating for Quests Over Coffee. Next game, we have Star Wars Bounty Hunters, which is a game that I was very excited about because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm a nerd for Star Wars. In this game, it is drafting, which I also like, and you are playing as the bad guys, and you are going around acquiring targets by cards. You're going to pick a card, picking cards through this drafting system, simultaneous drafting. You're going to pick cards, you're going to pick these targets, which you have a certain threshold of these 3 different stats that you have to achieve in order to catch that bounty. So that's one of the options. If you're drafting, when you're drafting cards, you can take targets. You can also take the things that will get you to the threshold, past those thresholds, in order to capture those bounties for those points. You can take the bounty hunters, which are going to give you a lot of stats for those particular three different targets, but they're also going to give you negative points. Or else you can take like these droids, which are going to not give you as much stats towards those, but they're not going to be worth any negative points. And each round, each turn, you're going to pick a card from one of these piles. You can pick cards from the target pile, or the bounty hunters, or the droids, or whatever. And so you add that to the card, so then you'll have, I think it's 4 cards in your hand, and you pick one of those and play it down, or else you can sell those cards. And then you pass the 3 cards that you have left. The next person, they pick a card from the pile, and that's the game, pretty much. You go until that pile's gone, or until someone has, I think it's 4, they've captured 4 different targets or something like that. It's going to get a 5.5. It is Star Wars, it is drafting, but it's also not that fun. It really fell flat. The theme wasn't there, but it is like in some of the Star Wars universe that I really like, the Star Wars Rebels universe, that's lesser known, but more so towards the animated cartoon series that I really, really like. And yeah, so 5.5, there was nothing really about it that excited me while I was playing it. I was just kind of waiting for the game to be over. And, if you could, the choices are basically you take bounty hunters or you take droids. You take bounty hunters, you're going to finish the targets faster, but those are worth negative points. Or you can take the droids, which are going to take longer to complete the targets, but they're not worth negative points. So pick or choose that. 5.5, it was not that great to me. But yep, that's Star Wars Bounty Hunters. Going to the next one. The next one is Cover Your Assets, which is a small little card game This is kind of a cutthroat little game. In this game, you are making sets of your assets, and your assets can be anything like comic books or automobiles. But on your turn, you're either going to make a pair in your hand and place that on in your particular pile, or you are going to take one of your cards and match it with a card that is in the middle and make a pair that way. Or you can challenge someone else's cards that they have in front of them, the last assets that they've placed down. Say someone else has comic books on top of their pile. You can take one of your comic books that are in your hand, place it, and challenge that stack of cards of theirs. They can respond. If they got another comic book, then it comes back to you. If you got another comic book, you can play it down. If they can't come back again, then you take all of the cards that were on that pile before and the cards that were used for the challenges and put that on top of your deck for points. And all the cards are worth different points, 5,000 or 20,000, whatever. There's some wild cards as well. This one's going to get a 6 rating. It's an okay game to me. It's very cutthroat. It can be very mean. When we were playing, one of the people that we were playing with, actually, we were 3/4 of the way through the game, and they didn't have anything in front of them because people kept taking their assets that were in front of them because they just didn't have the right card draw to protect their assets that they had in front of them. So yeah, a 6 rating. It's a give or take for me. If someone wants to play it, absolutely I play it. But it's not one that I'm going to personally ask to break out to play. Let's cover your assets, so 6. Next is Horrified World of Monsters, which is the newest Horrified game that is out here. I made a video where I made a longer sort of thoughts on this particular game. This is the 4th edition, or the 4th installment in the Horrified series. This one is more like the scary monsters. You've got Cthulhu as the main one, then you've got the Yeti and the Yangshi, and the other one's escaping my mind right now. But you've got 4 monsters in this compared to other ones that had, I think, 6. So it's a smaller box version of Horrified. You're going to get less content in here. But this was also billed as a standalone expansion. As far as the 3 other monsters besides the Cthulhu monsters, I like them. If you like Horrified and you like the monsters in Horrified, the puzzles, the riddles, you're going to like those monsters. They're very Horrified-esque in this game. It continues the great puzzles of Horrified, the ones that I really enjoy. And as far as Cthulhu, the one that was basically the main bad guy of this box, it was a 2-part monster, which is the first time they've done that in Horrified. I don't know what to say about him because I don't know how to play him. Also, in Horrified tradition, they made this rulebook terrible. They made the monsters so vague, like they usually do, of how you're supposed to play them. But Cthulhu is more complex than any of the other monsters that we've had before, so he can't be vague like they've made them. And so I don't know how to play them. So that affects my rating, because just reading the rulebook, and at the time I went and looked on the internet, looked for some FAQs to figure out how to play them. I couldn't find any at the moment. That was last week. Now I'm reviewing it again, but I still haven't played it. I haven't looked. Maybe there's some FAQs out there that will let me play Cthulhu, but as of now, I don't know how to play him. So basically, this is a 3-monster game, and those monsters were good, but Cthulhu, don't know how to play him. This is also supposed to be an expansion to the Greek monsters, but it's not a 1-for-1 expansion where you can just throw them in. You have to know some things, and it's not an easy mixture, which is unfortunate, and that's what I wanted. So this one's going to get a 6.5 because I really like the monsters that I could play, but the fact that I couldn't play the main monster that they put in this box brings this down from what would probably be a 9 to a 6.5, and there's less monsters in this one. So yeah, I've got some things that I didn't necessarily care about for this particular box. 6.5 for Horrified World of Monsters. Going to the next one. The next one is Orbis or Orbis, I'm not really sure. In this game, you are going to be drafting these tiles and then building up a pyramid with these tiles. On your turn, you're going to take one of these tiles that is in this grid of tiles, and all these tiles are different colors. When you take one of these tiles, you put it on in your pyramid area, and the color that it was, all the other tiles that were around that orthogonally get that type of cube on it. So if you take a white tile from the middle, all 4 orthogonal tiles adjacent to it get white cubes on them. And you're going to need those cubes to use to spend on later rounds when the tiles that you're taking actually cost cubes, you know. So you might take tiles that have 3, 4, 5 cubes on them, and you're going to be using those later in order to spend to buy these bigger, more powerful tiles. And they're pretty much straightforward. There's like 3 eras in this. The first era doesn't really cost anything. Second era might cost a little bit, and they're worth a little bit more if you can buy them. Third era is worth more points, but they cost even more. And so, yeah, it's this interesting game, and we're placing these tiles in this pyramid area. If you're placing on top of other tiles, those other tiles have to, one of the tiles that you're placing on has to be the color that you just placed. So if you're placing a white tile, one of the 2 tiles that is connected on below has to be a white tile. And I found this a fun, interesting game. I don't really know what the theme is, but it's a nice, quick little game, so it's going to get a 7 rating. I enjoyed it. I'll enjoy it more. I'm excited to play it more, so this one might be getting in the rotation a few more times in the next month or 2. 7 rating for Orbis. The next game is The Feds. This is a game by Steve Finn. This is a game where you have a hand of cards. Everybody has the same exact hand of cards, and they're numbered like 1 through 4. And some of these cards are going to let you activate a special ability depending on which city scenario that you are playing. There are several city scenarios that come in this box, but some of those cards are going to let you activate certain special powers when you play them. How you're playing these cards is everybody at the same time is going to pick one of these cards and play it in location simultaneously. So you don't know where everybody else is playing on these locations. Everybody then reveals, or whoever in turn order reveals their card and puts that card, I'm sorry, they do not reveal their card yet, but they put their card in one of the 4 locations that are listed. And whenever someone else puts a card in that location that their card is already, the card that is already there gets flipped into the actual activated part of that location. And what you're trying to do, there's only like 8 or 9 cards in your hand, so this game is very, very fast. You're trying to have the most points worth of cards in each of these locations. And whoever has the most points in these locations gets to take take their choice of criminals that are at that location. There are different colored criminals. Whenever whoever's got the most points at those locations gets to choose one type of criminal and take all of them. So if there's 5 yellow criminals at a location, you can take those. Whoever's got the second most gets to take another type of criminal and put them in their spot, and so on and so forth. And it might actually wrap around where the person who won ends up taking 2 sets of criminals, and those criminals are going to be worth points. That's how you're going to win the game. And it's a very, very fast game. Like I said, you're only playing 8 or 9 cards. I can't remember how many cards are in your hand, but yeah, it's fast. The box says like 30 to 45 minutes. I would say this game is more so like 15 to 20 minutes, I'd say, because you're only playing so many cards. And I had fun with this one. This one's going to get a 7.5. As far as Steve Finn games go, this is my favorite one that he's come out with in quite a while, probably since Mining Colony. His last few before this ones weren't the greatest games for myself. They didn't have some flavor to them. This one feels like it's got flavor. It feels like it's got some fun in it, and it's very fast to break out. One that I'm going to continue to break out for a bit here. So 7.5 for The Feds. Going to the next one. The next one is Land, Air, and Sea Critters at War, which is a completely retheme of just land, air, and sea. So this is a complete retheme. It's 100% the same exact game, but this one just has cute little animals sort of at war, rather than the original game is just real life war. In this game, you are just playing out cards on either the land, air, or sea military areas, and you are trying to win basically 2 of these areas, have the most points on them, and you're playing out cards on certain areas, and these cards have special abilities on them, and you activate them, and it's got a lot of room for clever plays in this game. And if you feel like you're losing a round, you can drop out, and you want to drop out before the end of the round, and because if you lose at the very end of the round, your opponent gets more points. But if you drop out early, they get less points for that particular victory if you succeed fast enough. So yeah, this one it's going to get an 8 rating. I like this game. I like the original game. I like this one a little bit more because it's got the cute little animals, and I'm a sucker for cute little animals. And yeah, I enjoy it. It's one of my favorite card games. One that I like to break out. It's a good 2-player game. This is only 2-player game, and it's a good head-to-head game that I enjoy. So yeah, 8 rating for Land, Air, and Sea Critters at War. Next, we have a game that's very, very popular at the moment. This is Forest Shuffle. Now, in this game, you are either going to be playing cards or drawing cards. If you play cards, you are going to play these cards, and you have to play a tree first. And then on these trees, you can then play cards around that tree. On both sides, on top, on bottom, you're going to play animal cards. You're going to play like fungus or mushrooms, or you're going to play birds on top of the trees, onto the sides, tucking them underneath these trees. These cards that you're playing have certain abilities. They're worth points. They're going to have certain victory or point conditions, like you want to have a set collection of these sort of thing, or there's different ways that you're going to be scoring in this game. But when you're playing cards, if you play cards, they have a cost to them. The cost is cards. So this card, you might be able to play it, and it costs 2 cards. So you have to take 2 cards from your hand and put it out into the center area, and that's going to be available for other people to take on their turn, because you're either going to take 2 cards or play a card. And this kind of has that Lost Cities feel to it, where you're playing a card, you're going to you might lose some cards that you really actually want in your hand. And maybe hopefully by the time your turn comes around again, those cards are still in that area, and maybe you can take them back into your hand to use them later on. This one's a fun one. I enjoy it. It's an 8 rating. It's just a very easy game to explain. There's a lot of symbology, but the symbology is very, very straightforward and very like, oh yeah, after you explain it once, you know what that symbol is. This one's going to get an 8. I like it. I will continue to play it. It's a good card game. It sort of reminds me of games like Earth, like a small, I would say, dumbed down version of Earth, but that's not a bad thing. But I enjoy this one quite a bit. It's got the animals, it's got the nature, things that I like, and it's a simple card game. So yeah, 8 rating for Forest Shuffle. Going on to the last game we're talking about today, and just happens to be beside me. So this is Marvel United Multiverse. This is the next core box in the Marvel United series. I got the Kickstarter. My Kickstarter arrived. I'm only going to be talking about the base box that before all of the extra promos and all the extra boxes and stuff. Just talking about the base box of this. This, like all the other core boxes, is pretty small. There is 6 heroes that you can play as. There is 3 villains you can play against. There is 1 anti-hero, so you can play him either as a hero or against him as a villain. The people that you're playing as is like the Black Panther, the Shuri edition of Black Panther. There's Captain Carter. There is Kid Loki. They're all like weird versions of these other characters that we all know and love, but just not the main version of that. There is Ironheart. If you like Marvel United, you're probably going to like this. I've played against all the bosses now. They're all really good. If you like Marvel United, it's going to be a good match. I'm excited to put this in with all my other Marvel United stuff. And there's a good amount of content, I would say, just in this. I'm excited to break out the extra stuff, the Kickstarter stuff. That'll be a separate video that I'm going to be talking about all that stuff. This is a good one. It's going to get an 8.5. It's not getting a higher one than 8.5 just because the characters in it, I don't really care about a lot of the characters that are in this, but they still work good. The villains are fun to play against. And the villains, that's what Marvel United is really all about, is the villains, because they really change the game way more than the actual heroes themselves change the game. But yeah, that will complete this video. 8.5 for Marvel United Multiverse. It's a good one. Pick it up. Yes. So comment down below if you've played any of the games that we talked about, if you like them, if you don't. Either way, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care.